Chapter 9. Mariah, Alison, and I left the Cleveland Justice Center only to find Wanda Rosie Bugafer trailing after us. "I know you didn't just leave without saying goodbye," Wanda spat. "That is so like you." "Bitch, you would have done the same thing." "I would do it more gracefully," Wanda pouted. "You didn't even welcome me back." "I'd rather welcome back crabs. I can't believe you're back. You should have stayed in Tulsa with the rest of the irrelevant things." Tulsa's actually listed on 3 publications for being one of the most up-and-coming cities in the entire country. "Oh, please, who said that? Loser-ass Cities America magazine?" "I'm back in town, Alison," Wanda reminded us as she moved past. "So watch your steps." "Are you threatening me?" Alison asked. I was grateful that Alison's gun was in the car, because I was worried Richard would make a guest appearance. "No, I mean it. Watch your step. You're really close to the staircase." We all turned and saw that indeed we were dangerously close to petering out over the 5-step staircase. "Oh, well, thank you," Alison disappointedly grumbled. "See you around, bug off." "Later, Alicent." Both of those trash-talking nicknames were subpar. We got back inside our car while Wanda arrived at her own vehicle, which was a brand new, expensive car that even would make Maxamillion Ladorva think twice before buying it. "She seems well off," Mariah noted, to which Alison snorted. "As F, Wanda's a leech." Alison's tone implied one could not be rich and a leech. "Ah." I didn't need to say much. I knew Alison was beginning to spill. "Can you believe that Wanda was there?" Alison asked us in a tone that would be similar to someone finding out their school district had hired a child predator. "I've never even heard of Wanda before today," I answered. So no, I hadn't been as offended as Alison. "There's a reason I live alone now." Alison rolled the window down. "Is it because of the loud sex noises your old neighbors complained about?" Mariah recalled. "Wanda is no longer my friend. We are strictly enemies." "Whew, sounds spicy," Mariah whistled. "So when were you going to mention this Wanda?" I puzzled. "There's nothing to say. She's death to me." I could see why Wanda and Alison had once been friends. Both of them had a flair for dramatics and incorrect English. "That is shitty of her to sign a lease on a fancy house and then get out of there." Mariah empathetically reached out to Alison. "But was it really that bad?" Alison dropped her heavily chapsticked mouth. "It was not easy meeting the rent. It was $1,200 a month." Here in Cleveland, rent for $1,200 was definitely on the steeper side. I felt like Shelley Handers with my line of questioning. "How did you make the bills?" "I was waitressing." Alison was definitely lying, but neither Mariah nor I decided to pry. With court finished, Mariah, Alison, and I went to Vegas's house to pick up Vegas and Bambi. Jenna Ladorva had been more than happy to let us pry around the house. Vegas and Bambi rolled out of Vegas's house as soon as we pulled up to the driveway. "Ready?" I asked, which was stupid, because both women were beyond ready. Despite of the occasion, or maybe because of the occasion, Vegas was wearing a slutty Raggedy Ann maid-inspired costume, while Bambi was in a low-cut Sexy Nancy Drew outfit. Vegas's red hair and tan were accompanied by a blue dress and a white apron, which made her look beyond conspicuous. Bambi wore a brown plaid skirt, which was 3 inches lower than her loins, and a white and very tight blouse, and heels that looked like they caused blisters. The two did not appear to blend into anything. They stuck out more obviously than a giant neon sign. "I'm ready to start looking around the town," Vegas giggled. "We aren't looking around the town. We're looking in a mansion," Mariah corrected. "Either way, we have handcuffs," Bambi smiled, holding a pair of handcuffs up like a proud parent. "Why do we need handcuffs if we are just searching? Was it just me on that one?" "What's the inspiration?" I asked Vegas. "I was going to wear all black, but I figured that would call a lot of attention." Vegas advocated for her current clothes, which made her look like a guest star on an episode of Little Horny on the Prairie. "We're not robbing the Ladora estate. Jenna is just letting us look around," I groused. "And then I was going to go spy suit, a full one-piece leather statement, but then I wondered if that was too much." "So you settled for this Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz school doll look?" Vegas gave me a flirty blink. "I figured it looked the most innocent." The fact that the dress went perhaps a finger lower than Vegas's prime jewels was definitely keeping this look from being deemed innocent. "I used to read a lot of Nancy Drew growing up," Bambi squeaked from the back seat. "My mother and father were quite abusive, so I'd go to the library a lot. They would never get me a card, so I'd just stay there for hours and leave without checking anything out. But the librarians saw that, and they made a special case, especially one librarian in particular, Mrs. Grutlin. We were friends for years, and she became a parent figure. I remember she told me that I could achieve anything I wanted. She was later run over by a drunk driver. The whole car felt deflated from that story. Vegas actually looked unaffected, as if Bambi had told that story so often that it no longer affected her. Bambi had not just trauma dumped, she had taken her life story and offloaded it like a continent of toxic waste. Listen, we need to be very grateful to Jenna. Mariah switched the script without acknowledging Bambi's sad childhood story. She's allowing us to inspect her house. She didn't have to do that. Do you think at some point there will be violence? Vegas asked, pulling out a giant gun, which made me gasp. I brought this along. Did you need to get that big of a gun? I objected. I always have my gun. Alison pulled out her gun, Richard. You never know when you need it. Usually just for threatening or pure aesthetic. Imagine carrying a gun just for an aesthetic. But then again, I suppose the aesthetic was a key part of choosing which gun to tote around. I love yours, Vegas said, petting Alison's gun like it was a cat. I brought mine as well. Bambi cheerfully joined in, pulling out a gun so ancient I wouldn't be surprised if it was manufactured in the 1880s. It looked like the kind of gun you would use if playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I need everyone to put their guns away, I demanded in my big girl voice. I can't concentrate with all these guns waving around. Vegas, Bambi, and Alison all put their guns away, although looked annoyed, like I'd asked them to not text on their cell phones during a dinner party. Thank you. I sounded like a middle-aged white suburban mom. We're almost here. We arrived at the front door looking like the rejects of Charlie's Angels. Samira opened the door without a welcome and just let us through. Benicia once again looked silent, but Jenna was very welcoming. Are you Vegas? Jenna asked, grabbing Vegas's hand the way a palm reader would softly swallow someone's hand. I am she, Vegas nodded. I am so sorry about your missing ring. Jenna sounded like she was apologizing to a whole slew of victims for a natural disaster. I hope we can find it today. Please help yourself. There was a plate of Russian tea cakes and some jasmine tea. Alison was the first one to grab a tea cake, quickly followed by Bambi in her Nancy Drew getup. So where do you think we can search? Vegas asked. I think everywhere, Jenna said unhelpfully, as if she didn't live in a giant mansion estate filled with rooms, nooks, and crannies. Does Maxamillion have a private safe? He does, and I know the code, Jenna smiled. It's 696969. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at the primitive sex joke. I clapped my hands. Let's check there first. His office, his closet, anywhere that Maxamillion hangs out a lot. Jenna agreed with me. Good idea. Give me a second, Alison managed to announce through a mouthful of cake. We walked through the kitchen, but Jenna tossed her hand forward. Well, Maxamillion wouldn't keep anything here. He doesn't use kitchens because he believes they are spaces designed for women. I wanted to question why Jenna was with such a man, but then I looked out the window to see a giant pool, spa, sauna, tennis court, deck, and patio, and found my answer quickly. We passed through a living room, a second living room, a family room, which is basically a living room, and a decorative living room. There was even a room called a ballroom, which I knew used to exist, but figured even billionaires didn't feel the need to have such a space these days. The ballroom was covered in gold colors, from the paint and plaster moldings to furniture and little decorations on the furniture. This is gaudy, Mariah quietly divulged in my right ear. I leaned towards her to respond. No, a gold toilet is gaudy. This is just sociopathic. We next arrived in a room that looked like a dive bar. This is our dive bar, Jenna said casually, as if the bar room was a staple house space for the average American. It feels grody, I said, eyeing the disheveled furniture and thin layer of dust. Gaudy and grody was a good way to sum up the experience so far. That's intentional, Jenna acknowledged. We wanted to create an authentic experience of a bar. Glad to know millionaires think that the average American bar was a shithole. We soon arrived at a split path. There's no need to head that way, Jenna pointed to the left split. Those are the kids' rooms. Maxamillion avoids that wing completely. I was not surprised. If there was one thing Maxamillion was, it was a man. I bet he avoided childcare the way he avoided paying his taxes. We walked by Samira's living quarters to find her lying on a couch and watching Celebrity Fit Club while pounding down a bag of cheesy chips. Upon seeing us, Samira paused for a moment, mid-chip to mouth. After a pause so awkward it almost turned my guts to stone, Samira continued eating her chip. We left her munching. I think she's supposed to be working, Jenna dreamily wondered, as if unsure. Jenna turned to Benicio, who offered the biggest, I don't know, shrug. We arrived at Maxamillion's bedroom, which featured sleek furniture and expensive finishing touches. We strip-searched the bed and checked cabinets to the point where we were almost dismantling the furniture. It was like the reverse of building IKEA furniture. Mariah and I combed through the giant closet, which was the size of 2 bedrooms. His fashion is awful to have this many clothes, Mariah criticized. Even his casual clothes appear too formal. Vegas had decided to investigate the underwear drawer and was now showing us some of the pairs that had intrigued her. He has a leopard print jock. What's that about? This feels a bit too sexy for Maxamillion. He believes women should do all the sexual labor. Sexual labor? I had 100 questions, but felt like I shouldn't ask any of them. I haven't seen that one. Jenna was aghast, grabbing the leopard print jock from Vegas and examining it like it was a freshly discovered dinosaur bone. I wonder if he thinks I'm too prissy for him to wear it. Does a leopard print jock turn you on? Mariah skeptically inquired. No, but I'd like the option to be wooed with it, Jenna said with what appeared to be a tear in her eye. I walked into Maxamillion's bathroom to find Alison full-arm scooping up the bathroom products on the sink and shoving them into her purse. What are you doing? I questioned vehemently, as if I had caught Alison stealing food from our limited food rations aboard a lone sailboat that had been set adrift. I'm just cleaning this bathroom up. It's filthy. Where's Samira? Alison cocked her head around, as if Samira was hiding behind the door or the shower curtain. You can't steal all of that. Maxamillion is going to know something is up. Why not steal some of the extras that are stocked up? Jenna walked into the bathroom and opened the sink beneath the triple vanity. There were tons of products, all lined up as if ready for an inspection by a drugstore manager. Oh, that's much better, Alison said, pulling out the used cosmetics, creamers, and lotions, and beginning to carefully move stock products into her purse with the careful approach someone would use to play Jenga. We next visited Maxamillion's private gym, which featured a rack, a couple weight machines for chest, arms, and shoulders, and a cardio bike. This is a shame, Bambi needled, as if she had come across a corrupt politician or a disgraced member of her parish. You can tell he does not prioritize legs in his workout at all. I bet he has chicken legs. Oh, his legs have such little definition. They need a dictionary, Jenna laughed. Even Maxamillion's workout television was 20 inches larger than my home television. We finally touched down into Maxamillion's office, which was a large, spacious room that featured a desk the size of a small van, a table with 5 plush chairs for conferences, some bookshelves with expensive-looking accoutrements, and some file cabinets. Oh, these file cabinets are locked. Vegas turned to look across the room. Do we have a knife? A knife? Why would someone have a knife in their office? I know where the keys are, Jenna smiled, opening the top drawer of her husband's desk and pulling out a small loop of keys. We pawned through his cabinets, but only came across some paperwork. Even Benicio helped, although he remained rigid and quiet. Ooh, there's a gun! Alison pulled out a gun from the desk. Can I take him, please? Of course not, I scathingly said, unless there's some leftover stock guns hanging around. I don't think so. Jenna's grave tone made me think that she would be more than happy to allow us to steal anything of Maxamillion's which wasn't nailed down. In the corner of the office was a wine and liquor bar with a safe underneath it. Bambi was the one who entered 696969, and the safe sprang open. There were some stacks of cash, some bonds and jewelry, but not Vegas's family heirloom. Damn it, Vegas sighed later as we regrouped around the Russian tea cake. Alison had helped herself to another slice. I know he took that ring. I just know it. It must be on his person. Jenna put a hand out to comfort Vegas. I'm sorry. I thought he'd just leave it out or something. Does he normally steal jewelry and then wear it? Alison asked. 'Cause that's what I do. You do? My eyebrows shot up like they were riding Power Tower at Cedar Point. Would Wanda have personal testimony to that fact? Alison gave me a glare so burning it would probably melt the ring of power. So what's our plan? I threw out to the room at large. The ring's not around, so it might be on Maxamillion. We can tackle Maxamillion, maybe, Vegas suggested. Get him alone to confess? Oh no, he has security, Jenna explained. Me and the kids can't even touch him without permission. Weird, but not my marriage, so I didn't say anything. We need to get that ring back, Bambi cried out. It's been in the family for generations. Why is this ring important exactly? I asked, trying to be sweet and inquisitive and not terribly confused. It was my grandmother's ring. She was a stripper during a famine back home in Romania. She had to work very hard until one day she met a very handsome man who promised her the world. Turned out he was a scumbag and an adulterer and a thief. The whole room watched Bambi with the curious, insatiable need for gossip. Samira and Benicio, who had been busy trying to look busy, stared down Bambi as well.
So then my grandmother decided she wanted to own her life. She stole a beautiful diamond ring that her husband had stolen from a rich man, and with that ring and some other minor things she fled, made her way to America, and worked her way to become a very successful burlesque dancer. It's a very hard skill set, and not anyone can do it. My grandmother never gave up that diamond ring. She wanted it to be a symbol of strength, of never accepting less than you deserve, and it's been in the family ever since, passed down from mother to daughter as a reminder of strength.
And someday I'll pass that ring down to my daughter, Vegas asseverated. Because this ring is more than just my mother and I. It's an idea, an entire philosophy. I didn't know it was that deep, but it was touching to hear such a story. I have an idea, Jenna told the table, dabbing her eyes with a nearby luxury silk napkin she had grabbed off the counter. There's a time in the morning when Maxamillion makes his guards walk his security dogs. He's too lazy to hire dog walkers. So on Saturday morning, we can let you into the house, and then you can question him, corner him, get the ring. This sounds a little risky. Alison looked skeptical, which was saying something. She normally was the one willing to try something batshit crazy and unlikely to work. How long will the guards be out? At least for an hour. Maxamillion wants his dogs in top shape. Brags about having the most athletic security dogs in town. I did not like the sound of that. So, Saturday morning? I asked the group. That means our date tonight can't go super late. I only have one final date, Alison clarified, as if we hadn't paid attention to her dramatic re-love story with Gamer. Me too, I added, although Alison eyed me like she believed I was bragging. Well, shoot. I'm still trying to find someone to take to that stupid prom. Mariah rolled her eyes. But tomorrow morning works. Be here at 9 a.m. sharp, Jenna demanded. Mom, that's the same day the exterminators are coming, Samira chimed, to take care of the bugs. Oh, good. It might cause a distraction if you need it, Jenna added. You look like people who need a good distraction to help. If that was an insult, it was probably correct. All right, we'll come back tomorrow morning, I sighed. I guess it's time to go. 1 second, Alison said, turning to the rest of the Russian tea cake. Do you have a Tupperware container I can borrow and bring back tomorrow? We pulled up to Vegas's house to drop off the promiscuous ragdoll and sexy Nancy Drew. How are you feeling? I asked Vegas. I think we're close to getting this diamond ring back, Vegas smiled. I really appreciate your work. You're worth every penny. I think we are too. Vegas was paying us each $2,000, so I had to impress and smile. That was enough to pay almost 3 months of my mortgage. We parked the car back at Lucky Bonds and Investigations, and Alison decided she had to go home and get ready for her date. We have plenty of time. Mariah eyed her smartphone. I cannot fumble this. Alison hopped over to her Mercedes. And don't I deserve a little break too? I had to testify today, and I know that's not good for the skin. Before Mariah and I could offer counter advice, Alison drove out of the parking lot like she forgot to turn off the stove at her apartment. Mariah and I rounded the corner to walk inside the office, but ran into Mrs. Dorriander. She had a small bag of goodies from the bakery next door, Blooming Bakery. That's where we got our morning donuts and afternoon desserts from. Upon sight, Mrs. Dorriander accosted us like an elephant remembering an old foe. What are you two doing? You look like you're going to shoot someone. Hopefully you aren't allowed to have guns anymore. Apparently, Dorriander believed us too incapable of using guns. Mariah took the bait. If I'm going to shoot someone, it would have to be you with your big bag of drugs. These aren't drugs, it's prescriptions and pastries, Mrs. Dorriander admonished. I have arthritis in my elbow, back pain, muscle problems, and I have some other problems, including some liver and heart conditions. And I just like their plum Danish. Dorriander shook the bag, and I was surprised to hear what sounded like 500 locusts in a tight space. That didn't sound good. Then why don't you die? Mariah yelled, and Mrs. Dorriander skirted away like a spider. She pulled into her own car and drove off. I was surprised Mrs. Dorriander backed down like that. She was known to be crueler. Wow. I was flabbergasted. I don't think I've ever seen her relent so quickly. I didn't even get to make a joke about how dry her spice cake is, and if she bought spice cake from Blooming Bakery to taste how a good spice cake should taste. Wordy joke. It would need to be edited. You have to tell her like it is or she'll keep arguing, Mariah sighed, and we walked right into the office. I'll have to take notes. Hello, Kathy weakly said, still poised in her desk like a hospital patient attempting to sit up and eat applesauce. 2 lovely ladies are waiting for you at your desks. Kathy sounded like one of those experimental robots you saw on social media who were allegedly going to take over the world one day. And lovely ladies were waiting for us? I didn't know many lovely ladies. The ladies I knew tended to be the opposite of lovely. Okay, Mariah and I said at the same time, and we ran to our desks and found Claudia Perez and Haley Compton having some of our Diet Pops. They were seated on top of our desks and were unfazed. I was extremely shaken, considering both of them were wanted criminals and killers, and worse yet, they were drinking our last cans of Diet Pop.